From the police state to tectonic plates, Dutchsinse and Tattoo take the temperature of tyranny on Freedom Frequency 1871, coming to you live now.
This is America. We have founding fathers that wrote a constitution that we haven't lived by in 142 years.
Were they serious when they said they planned on owning the weather by 2025?
And if you're not pissed off, there's something wrong with you right now.
Have you guys seen what's going on outside your door lately? Need I remind you?
This is America. Are y'all going to allow it to be Russia?
doTERRA Essential Oils, true gifts of the earth, provide you with the perfect prepper tool, the Family Physician Kit. 10 certified pure therapeutic grade oils to provide the support you need for your family's wellness goals when sheltering in place or bugging out. Visit essentialnewparadigm.info and ask how you can receive $100 in free product and 25% off each and every order. Don't delay. Your family's health depends on you. Health depends on you.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
Welcome back to Freedom Frequency 1871. This is your host, Dutchsinse, and Tattooed is still on the line with me, listening to me talk over and over again about radio frequency, HAARP, weather modification, directed energy weapons, and high-powered microwaves. Tat,
yes, I am.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
I don't know how you said it all, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Stream of consciousness. I told you guys, I like to talk. We're going to take calls. And next week, we're going to delve further into the different facilities. Now, we just went over the basics here tonight, guys, just how it's done. I hope you understand now that a radio frequency power, well, any kind of radio frequency, from anywhere in the megahertz band all the way up to trillion-watt lasers, can be used to strip particles from the atmosphere and ionosphere, energy, and create lightning, cause plasma effects, heating, mainly heating. And we'll go into next week into the Europeans over at EISCAT, E-I-S-C-A-T, and their North Pole heater called SPEAR, S-P-E-A-R. It's a radar heater that heats the poles. Now, why would they need to heat the poles? We're going to go into that next week, also with the Russians and the Chinese and their Meridian project, their version of HAARP. But let's get into some callers. We got a phone number here I'll give out. It's 567-314-9296. And again, that's 567-314-9296. And if you have a question about the topic of the night, which is HAARP, weather modification, radio frequency, directed energy weapons, and the like, or if you have another question, feel free to call in, guys. So do we have anybody? We have Steve, who's been holding, I think, for forever. So, Steve, welcome to the show. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Dutch. How you doing?
I'm really good. How you doing?
Pretty good. This area of weather modification is not really my expertise, but I've been following your work for a couple of years now, and I just want to let you know I appreciate everything you do, and there are some other people who are engineers at TV stations that are friends of mine that follow what you're doing, too. I just wanted to say, since you brought up the past and the 70s, I used to listen to a religious minister in Glendale, California. He used to talk about weather modification back in '82. And I thought that was very interesting. And he'd have the federal government's taking his license away. We ended up getting a satellite dish so he could go on anytime he wanted to. And I thought it was very interesting, some of the things that he was divulging to the public. And he wasn't a normal kind of, conservative kind of Christian minister. He was kind of looking for the truth of, what we're doing in life, what's going on. He used to talk about Enoch and all the things that was going on in the book of Enoch, and he found that's totally contrary to what most Christian religious churches do. I found him very interesting, and then somehow I lost touch with him, and I don't know whatever happened, but he was talking about weather modification. And, recently you had a video up on YouTube, and it showed Australia. He was talking about how the United States military was doing weather modification in the 80s in Australia. And so when you brought that up, I'm like, wow, I guess the guy was right. So I just wanted to bring this up that, this is not something that, a lot of people, I'm 49, so, and that guy was much older than me. I mean, there's a lot of things that obviously the public doesn't know that's been going on for a long time. Like you said, things that they've been doing since the 70s. I think a lot of this technology was from Tesla, and, some of it may have come from the Nazis. I don't know.
Definitely the Nazis are confirmed to have done radio frequency experiments on the human body, unfortunately. And that they found out a lot about what radio frequency will do to a human being through human experiments. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, some of the stuff that they found out. And then, of course, the way they found out about supposedly the cover story for microwaves is that a person set their lunch below a radar transmitter, and the radar transmitter heated up his lunch, and that's where he realized that radar microwaves could be used to heat your food. And of course, I don't know if I believe that story. However, we can just basically say that, in the 80s, let's go back to the late 70s, Star Wars, right? What was the Death Star? Nothing more than a giant high-powered laser. Right? I mean, and it even has a scalar effect on the Death Star. All the lasers shoot together into one laser that then goes out and causes a greater damage somewhere else. And they were showing us this. They'll show us this in Hollywood movies, and they'll try and tell us. But in the 80s, Ronald Reagan was not joking when he said Star Wars, Strategic Defense Initiative, the SDI, and directed energy weapons. They really did do it. They spent something, what was it, like $1 trillion at the time? Put us in huge debt for years.
I'm wondering if some of this technology hasn't been around for thousands of years that we are not aware of. Because, I mean, if you go back to the ancient Indian
Egyptians,
they talk about all kinds of spaceships and, lasers and possibly nuclear weapons that were used back in, thousands of years ago. And so I think there's that element that I know the Nazis were going around looking all over the world for ancient sites and technology information.
Well,
so, I don't know
what supposedly came out of the Ark of the Covenant? Lightning bolts. If you touched it, you would die. Electricity. Right. They even show it in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, of another Hollywood movie, same kind of stuff where they're showing you lightning bolts. And the ancient legend was that only certain people could handle the Ark of the Covenant, and if anybody else touched it, they would die, and it would be from a lightning bolt. The people would be struck down, tens of thousands of people struck down through the Ark of the Covenant. And I would say there must be some truth behind the touching of it and getting electrified and dying. And then that takes us back to ancient Egypt, or I'm sure people have heard of the Coral Castle in southern Florida, just south of Miami. I think maybe it's just north of Miami. In southern Florida is the Coral Castle. And it's a guy on his own, without any crane apparatuses, was able to move huge, and I mean the size of houses almost, blocks of rock. And he would do it by putting up what looked like a pyramid series of wooden beams, and at the top of the pyramid was a black box with a wire in it. Now, he never would give up what it was, but I would say radio frequency. And maybe, indeed, this is something people need to look into, is that ancients maybe knew about resonance. That, have you ever seen your cell phone vibrate across the table? When you put it on vibrate and it'll sit there and it'll vibrate and it'll go across the table. Well, that's defying the laws of physics, isn't it? I mean, we have a vibration that's sending a heavier object across a flat surface, isn't it? Couldn't you theoretically do the same thing with a big block of stone if you had a bunch of people with the appropriate drums around it? Or let's say you had the ability to generate a low vibration that would then, maybe a little bit of sand underneath it would aid the rock to slide right across, just like your cell phone sliding across the table. And they're able to move huge blocks of rock over long distances using just the cell phone technique. Now, this is new science. This is something that we would have to, a guy like me or you would have to sit there and look at your cell phone and put two and two together and say, oh, couldn't you move a huge block that way? Sure.
Oh, that's great. Well, like I said, I appreciate your work, and I'll keep following you and paying attention to what's going on. And I speak out about things like this all the time. A lot of my friends talk about it too. Especially the weather modification that seems to be a big topic. I mean, it's really expanded a lot. I mean, people didn't believe they were spraying anything in the air for years, and then they've admitted it now. So that's out of the box, that they say.
That's right. And I appreciate your compliments. And again, what he's talking about, guys, is cloud seeding spraying has been fully brought out in the open from the realm of conspiracy, where they said it wasn't happening at all. Now they're telling us, oh, well, there's intentional contrails and unintentional contrails, and cloud seeding and non-cloud seeding. And for instance, the Sierra Nevadas, just this past week in California, everybody heard about the California drought, right? Well, I bet nobody heard about the record snowfall they just had up at Lake Tahoe. Really? Record snowfall? Well, how did that happen? There's a company up there called the Desert Research Institute, DRI. And 3 weeks ago, the Weather Channel, the dang Weather Channel, put out a fluff piece on making more snow in California this year. The DRI is going to be out there spraying. And they sprayed silver iodide from oh my God, are you guys ready? Drones. Have you ever had anybody ever ask you, oh, what pilot would fly around all day and spray their families down below? There is no pilot, guys. They show it on the Weather Channel 3 weeks ago. It's on my YouTube page right now under favorites. It's on my website. 3 weeks ago, showing the drones flying around using silver iodide to spray, which means there is no pilot anymore. If there is, there's somebody sitting in a control room somewhere. I don't know if that disturbs you, but they just made the most record snowfall ever at Lake Tahoe in a drought period. DRI did. Now, I'm trying to get our community reporter to a conference in Reno, Nevada in, I think, May. I'm trying to send Julio there to go to DRI, of all places, and hear their public conference and ask some tough questions. I've been trying to do a fundraiser for that, and everybody just kind of smacked it down. Only a few. Sent it out to 150,000 people, 14 people donated. So we didn't raise enough to get him there for this May conference, unless I want to put it out of my own pocket, which I'm willing to do. But I would encourage everybody to start looking into this themselves. Maybe we don't have to send Julio. Maybe we can get some intrepid people who live in the area in Reno to go there themselves. But first we have to generate concern. We have to give the facts out. The producer, send a drone to do the interview. Not a bad idea. We'll send our Google bot. We'll get a hold of Chrissy. She can send the Google bot, and we'll go over and we will definitely represent ourselves. So, caller, I appreciate it. We're going to go to the next caller now. We've got cheers, Steve. I appreciate it, brother. Ali, you there? You called in last 2 weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah. How's it going, guys? Thanks for doing your show again.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for calling back. We know we had a little discussion 2 weeks ago, guys. In case you don't know, Ali called in before with some great questions on Weather Mod. And if you want to hear that, you can go over to our main page, which is fprnradio.com/freedom frequency, and listen to the show from 2 weeks ago. Really good stuff. How's it going, man?
Great. I'm just always posting up on on the, weather mod and chemtrails, and I'm just surprised how many people still reflect it's conspiracy. Yeah, I'm just blown away, It's hard to down that one when it's right in your face and it's happening everywhere. It's sad. It's really, really sad. But the reason I wanted to call, just a simple observation I've had for some time now. I work outside all the time, and my eyes is like pretty adjusted to the lights. And one observation that I have recently been past year, I've noticed is the light outside is whiter. Imagine the sun reflecting off of your windshield or a mirror onto a spot. How it's whiter. Now, this observation is connected to what I've noticed, like super hazy chemtrail days. That's not, it hasn't soaked up all the water condensation, I guess, with like heavy cover. It's still like translucent fog.
Right, hazy out.
And when the sun hits, this is my observation. When the rays hit it, they're almost like bouncing from this chem layer and coming down, and it just makes the white light. And down here, I'm in Southern California, and it's really, really intense heat. Like in January, December, this light, this heat, it's just cooking. It's cooking the plants. It's creating a really, really dry environment, atmosphere. And I believe when you were talking about weather mob just like stealing water, and I believe that's kind of what's happening, because we're getting so blasted with chemtrails or whatever people want to call it. I don't even know what to call it anymore. But I believe it's taking all the water. We're like 6 miles from the coast, but I'm just observing that it's taking all of our moisture just straight west, or depending where the going east, depending on, the jet stream or whatever's going on. But you could tell that our condensation is not happening. It's not happening over here. It's like we're getting robbed from all the water in our atmosphere, and everything's super dry right now.
Yes.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring to attention those who work outside, just notice the quality of light. It's really unique spectrum when it hits or bounces off this ionosphere and comes down. It's a really, really white light and really intense in heat.
Small particulates, especially the metals that they're using. Let's say it's a high concentration of silver iodide and barium or chloride of some kind, that it could definitely have that reflection effect. It's not only going to reflect back into space, but the light that does come through could be reflected back down like a sun visor. You ever see those people at the pool that use a sun mirror to reflect the sun up underneath their chins? The same thing could be said for the atmosphere, that it's reflecting it back down onto us and causing a multiplier effect. I noticed this. I'll give you a firsthand report, and then we do have one more caller after you, Ali, but I'll give you a firsthand report. In my car 2 weeks ago, driving out, I was in the car for about an hour and a half driving west, mid-afternoon, middle of winter, freezing cold, and the sun is so intense on my jacket. I'm wearing a black jacket in the car with the windows up, and I've got UV shielding on my windows, guys, just like all of us do with tempered glass. It's not going to have a complete sun burn effect. But it was so intense that I had to take my jacket off while driving. It cooked me underneath. I felt like it was the summertime, and it was freezing cold. And that's how intense this light is that's coming from the sun. They said that the sun is actually getting less powerful, but they're talking about flare-wise. When it comes to luminosity, I don't think the tests have been done. I don't think there's some place where we can go back, I mean, there might be, to refer to the past luminosity of the sun. What did it used to be at this point during this time of year? It's something that people need to look into.
Yeah. Also wanted to mention to all the researchers out there to check out Sophia's Small Storm. I don't know if you're aware of her and all her work, But she's got a lot of interesting information about, all the chemtrails and cloud seeding, and she gets into some of the engineering and other additives that may be going on too. But I think she's got really great information, Sophia Smallstorm.
I'll go check her out. I'm always down to, learn new researchers' information and even try and get a hold of them, see what they know. Sharing information is the way it goes. So I appreciate you telling us about that. You should call in next week because we're going to do more talk on Weather Mod next week. We're going to discuss Russia, China, and the whole bit.
Definitely. I'm tuning in every week, man. Thank you for doing what you do.
Hey,
and
no problem.
Pat, I enjoy your shows.
Cheers. I appreciate it. Awesome, man. And now we got Greg. Greg, it's good to talk to you, brother. I've been hard to get a hold of this week, so it's good to finally get in touch with you. How you doing? Welcome to the show again. So it's good to finally get in touch with you. How you doing? Welcome to the show again. So it's good to finally. Hello. Oh, okay. Greg, you might need to turn down your speakers or plug in a set of headphones because the sound delay that travels from my voice through the router into the telecom lines to your house and then coming back to me is causing us a feedback loop.
Wow.
I got some bass in my voice, apparently. Hello. Didn't know.
It was messing up all over the place. I couldn't even tell what was on.
No.
The place. I couldn't. Uh-oh.
Well, this is what we call a resonance, guys. Okay, well, Greg, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on, bro, but it's giving us a double feedback. Yeah, it's done. We only have a few minutes left anyways. Greg, I will call you personally tonight, and we will discuss on the phone. Maybe Tat and I can call on Skype, and we can get you on next week. We only have a few minutes left, guys. This whole topic tonight, HAARP, weather modification, radar, directed energy weapons, this is a topic that is coming out of the realm of conspiracy. You wouldn't believe what I've ran into just trying to tell people what they're saying. This is what they are saying. Everybody even criticized me on HAARP rings. Turns out they call them HAARP rings. I showed you at the start of the broadcast. Their PDF in 2011, calling it HAARP rings, in quotes, no less. Just like me. Only I did it a year before. Now, this is, when you're learning these things, you've got to be willing to take a certain amount of abuse. You got to be prepared for the Galileo effect. I'm not claiming to be Galileo, by the way, but it's the effect. It's the resistance that you're met with from the scientific establishment and the skeptic community who's asking for proof. Now, short of me getting my own next-round radar and doing my own pulses and causing my own tornadoes to come into the area, I can't do the experiments. We have to rely on the scientists in the laboratory who are doing the appropriate experiments. And according to them, it can be done. So if they can generate severe weather with microwaves, and if they can generate fog and plasma over the atmosphere and ionosphere from HAARP, if our enemies have the capability of generating volcano eruptions remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves, then we are at a point in history where certain weapons, certain tactics of the past are no longer relevant. What good is an army of tanks if you can melt the tanks? What good is a bullet if you can melt the bullet? What good is a missile if you can melt the missile? These are the questions that you must ask at this point. It's no longer Dutch's rings. How about it's the Air Force's rings? It's no longer can lasers shoot down an incoming airplane. It's being installed on the front of all the new ships. It's being installed on the back of big trucks to take care of the troops out in the battlefield. The Chinese are building theirs. The Russians are building theirs. The Europeans just built theirs. And of course, we have ours. Ours is not shut down. They turned off the website. which was an extremely foolish thing to do for them. The ARRL story was false, and they're playing a joke on you by having the site turned off. I challenge the U.S. government and the U.S. military to turn it back on. We know it's on. We proved that the ARRL story is bogus and that it was put out as a front to get it turned off while they're doing the DARPA experiments, obviously, to control fire and lightning at a ground level. Oh my God. No wonder it's off. Tat, you got anything you want to add?
Yep. Only that the only thing we ever know about it is to abolish the Act of 1871.
Agreed. The corporation that developed all of this, the U.S. corporation that pays for everything, points to it and says, make this. They made it without your approval. It's where we're going. And the reason we're going there is our enemies, guys, which we'll pick up on next week. We will pick up on Russia, China, even the Europeans. Hang in there. Enjoy. Have a good week.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.